Hey everybody, today I am going to do a quick garden tour in English because I haven't done one in a long time, or if at all. And so I just wanted to show you what's happening because spring is waking everything up. There's a lot going on. Things are growing, things are emerging that I didn't know would emerge. And so I just wanted to do a quick update and show you what's happening. Anyways, here we go. So as you can see, things are starting to go to flower that were planted last year. I'm purposely leaving these for the bumblebees that are living on the property. There's not a ton of flowers out at the moment. Well, there's actually quite a few, but it's best to leave as much as we can so that each bee can have their food and their honey, and so that we can produce honey. Obviously, if we want a spring harvest, it's best to leave what we have. So this is just a quick overview of the garden space at the moment. As you can see, the wood chips and mulch that we put down are holding up pretty well. I'm really impressed. There's a couple patches of dandelions here, which I'm okay with because we're gonna eat them. So it's all good. I'm gonna go bed by bed and just show you a few things that are really interesting to me that are going to hopefully give you some inspiration and some things to look for in your own garden. All right, today was potato planting day. You can see here I have 4 left. I purposely left those for the video, and I planted about 50 other potato seed plants. And so they're just hanging out here in this bed. And I was wondering if it was still too cold to plant potatoes, but it is almost the end of April. It's pretty chilly here. I would say it's a little bit colder than normal, or at least it's a little bit colder than it has been in the last couple years since I've been gardening in Switzerland. But when I arrived here today, I knew that it was time, because I came to realize that as I was looking around at the beds to see how, checking out all the growth and things from other things that I planted, I realized that there are some potatoes growing here already that would have been left over from other pieces of potato that were left over in this bed, because this is where they grew last year. And yes, people are going to have something to say about the fact that you shouldn't plant 2 years in a row, blah, blah, blah. So why did I do this? Last year, the potatoes that I planted actually ended up getting eaten by a vole. And so the potatoes, I had very few plants. They didn't really grow. So obviously it seems like things are going well. These plants are coming up. I'm gonna leave them and then try planting here again and just see what happens. There is also a couple other things that we planted here that are coming up already, and I'll just quickly show you. All right, you can see the line of beets growing here. They look really happy. I grew some on the other side of these kale plants the last year, and they grew really well. So I decided to plant some more in this bed, and I'm realizing now that my path to walk between is probably not delineated enough nor wide enough, but we're just going to have to deal with it. Live and learn. And here we are. So that is the potato bed for today. There's our lovely pear tree growing. It's getting lots and lots of flowers, and of course another great plant or tree for the bees. So a couple other fun things that I can show you. The comfrey is just going crazy. It's very happy. Fig tree made it through the winter, so I'm really excited about that. And the tarragon also here is happy and coming back and growing other stems. That's the word I'm looking for. Stems for this year. And this lovely volunteer plant, this is another comfrey plant that's growing voluntarily here. So I'm really excited about that. And the blueberries seem to be coming back and growing. That's my knee mat for planting the potatoes. Seems to be growing a couple new stems, so I'm excited because the first year they really weren't content in the garden at all. So with the heat, they just did not seem to be very happy. So this is a collard green plant or type. It's Portuguese collard, they call it here. I can't remember the name in French, but that's the equivalent. You can see this lovely volunteer lettuce is happening. So a tip that I kind of have realized over the last couple years is that things are not as fragile as we think that they are. And the last few times that how do I want to explain this? The last few times that I've had a garden and I've just left things go to seed and then sprinkled seeds around the garden, the better the plants have done in the rest of the year, because it's mimicking nature more. Every time I try to, at least this is my experience, every time I've tried to sow something in pots and then transplant it out into the garden, those plants have done worse than when I've just sprinkled seeds at the end of a season and covered them up with soil and hope that they volunteer the next year. And I find when I do that, the seeds just become more and more resilient to what's happening in the environment. And that's really what we want to be saving seeds for, is the resiliency later on in life, their life, not our life, well, our life too, but the resiliency that they have over time. So for example, if you have a lettuce plant that goes to seed and it was a really hot season and it managed to at first survive, or other plants around it managed to survive and you were able to get a harvest from them, later on those seeds are going to be more resistant to heat, or should be, because they showed that trait prior to that. And so I have been trying and experimenting over, well, of course, this is only our second year here, so we're going to see some things work, some ideas that I have not work. So that's my little tip, really, is watching what is volunteering up in the garden, not only to see resiliency and whether or not it does better than things that you sow in pots before, or giving you the marker of when to plant things. So for example, I have volunteer plants here from last year, lettuce, rocket or arugula, depending on where you're from, growing already. And so this is my indication of, okay, this is the season that they want to grow in, this is the temperature that they want to grow in. And so really watching what happens over time in your garden as an indicator of when you should be planting. So we can see that here. I'm going to go over to a different bed and just show you guys. This is a bed that I sprinkled seeds in, and I'm going to show you that it's showing that this is the right season, this is the right time, and so I can then take seeds that I saved and sprinkle them in this bed for a later harvest, because I'm already getting a harvest. So as you can see here, there's lettuce plants, another one there, another one there, another one there, and then if I swing over here, there's one more growing over here, but also you'll get better at this over time. This is lettuce here, this is lettuce here, where else? Oh, there's some more growing here. And so over time you get to realize that when you just leave the seeds, the garden tends to take care of the work for you. And so one of the benefits of using the no dig method, or using just topsoil or compost to put on top with hay, it allows you to keep the seeds in the garden and not have to worry about them not being planted or losing them because you're turning the soil. So when you cover just the top, the seeds that you put down from the season above will return most likely, and you should have a pretty early harvest without much work, which is amazing.